Hey guys, this is Mark with Hawkeye Ordnance. I'm here with the guys from P3 Multigun, and we're going to be talking about this guy here, which is the Vortex Razor HD 2nd generation, and a couple of the different reticles that go along with this. So let's start this off by introducing everybody here at the table. So we've got from P3 Multigun, we've got Adam Maxwell, Ryan, give me the last one, Muckenhern.
Yep.
All right, right on, and Jake Latola. And these guys are all, up-and-coming shooters from the Midwest that are starting to break into some of the major matches and some of that kind of stuff. And you guys as a group get together and talk about ways to sort of improve the sport and improve gear. So these guys are doing reviews as well on their own of this equipment, which is huge. So I'd love to get some of your thoughts about the scope and why you might have switched to this from what you were using before.
I know I jumped to the Razor primarily because the scope I was shooting before, as a shooter, I really look for the reticle when I look at a scope, because that's the interface that I interact with between myself and the target. And I like a really simplistic reticle. The reticle I was shooting before was a 4 MOA triangle, which is awesome here locally because our ranges get out to 200 yards maybe.
Sure.
As I started going to bigger outlaw matches, that 4 MOA triangle at 300 and 400 yards is huge.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a more simplistic reticle, and then once a true 1 power to 6 power variable became an attainable piece of gear for me, 6 power is an advantage that's hard to argue with.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about this that's amazing is it beats its competition in price by $500, $600, $800 depending where you get it from. What about you, Jake? What got you into this guy?
I know the biggest thing is you need to be able to see the target.
Right.
So, some of the benefits of the Razor is that you got crystal clear glass.
Right.
So you can see that target. You got 6x magnification. That 500-yard target now looks a lot closer. And then you got 3 different reticle options. Whether you're, a ballistic drop guy or a MRAD guy or an MOA guy.
Yep.
You got all the options you want.
Yeah, the one thing,
a daylight bright dot too, and now
which is amazing. And the one thing I really noticed with this is because I'm a pretty big proponent of the Viper for guys that are getting started because it's a lot of glass for the money,
Sure
but what I noticed is at 4 times power on my Viper, and this at 6 times, I've got about the same field of view, but you've got the 6 times power. Because I've gotten lost in the glass at a match before, and it sucks. I timed out at CMMG last year doing that. It was a good time. Yeah, exactly. So
just because you have it doesn't mean you have to use it either. You don't have to dial up all the way to 6 power. You can still dial to 4, but when you need 6 power and it's there, that's a pretty huge advantage.
I'm more of a light switch than a dimmer.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Ryan? What do you?
I started multigun with some pretty crude optics. I actually started running a 1-4 Leopold VX2, just a regular Ballistiplex reticle.
Yep.
And obviously the limitations came out right away in the wash. I got thrown into major matches almost immediately. I shot a major match before I had really shot any local stuff, and switching to a reticle that has subtensions was a big thing for me. I also had moved into the Vortex, the 1-4 Viper PST, and it was a great optic. Like you said, it's a ton of optic for the money. Still pretty tough to beat, but like the boys touched on, moving to that true 6x magnification was enormous, and the reticle visibility is so tremendous and so noticeable in a match where I'm not sitting there counting real fine lines. I've got my defined hash marks, my 1 milliradian subtensions. That it's just so quick to make a transition from a 3-yard target to a 430-yard target.
Absolutely.
And you hear, I really do like the 1 mil hashes that are on there. You hear a lot of guys say that, oh, I like the JM reticle, and I'm not saying anything bad. That's a great reticle.
Yep.
But people say that the MRAD reticle, oh, it's too busy. You're going to be within 6 mils of a target if you're inside of 600 yards, and very few matches are you ever going to see anything.
2 months ago, I was that guy. It was like, I don't need windage hashes. And here I am at Ironman holding 8 minutes into the wind at a 400-yard target.
Right.
Interesting.
And holding off into space is the last thing that you want to do when you're on the clock and
Yes.
when you're looking at a small target.
We
close my eyes.
demoed the Miculek reticle, and I went out to the range at Oakdale where we only have 200 meters, but I wanted to just take the thing. You basically Ruben from Vortex, who's helped us all a ton with our glass, but sent it to me all ready to go. So I just literally dropped it on my rifle, went out, shot 3 rounds at 50 yards, made a couple of just it was bang on vertically, just a couple of minor adjustments, and then just started walking it at 25, 50, 75, and just kind of using that reticle all the way out. And I'll roll in some video I've got of the target doing that, but it was like the hash marks in the adjustments, which this one's got the screw off caps, which I kind of wish I had on ours, but.
Which we really prefer for 3-gun competition because we're throwing our guns in barrels and stuff.
Yeah,
and exposed turrets get bumped.
And these are just super positive. And I made, I took the shot and made the couple of clicks I needed on it, and bang, it was perfect. So they're right on. And then I found all the hash marks in the Miculek reticle to be exactly what I expected them to be. There was no question that it's actually what they say it's going to be. And, we were at when we were at the Vortex shop, we saw how they calibrate these and make sure that they're all perfect before they send them out. Each and every one of these scopes gets gone through on some fancy machine that they have that shows everything's in line. They walk all the hash marks out and everything. They're able to tell that it's actually doing what it says it's going to do, and then all these adjustments are accurate. It's a pretty impressive piece. My only complaint for me was weight, and the guys that watch our channel know that I'm always trying to strip, get my rifle down under 9 pounds is kind of my goal, and that's the one thing I struggled with this is that piece. It's the only negative I had was weight, but the question is are you making up for that in all of this, the other options, all the other good stuff, the clarity of the glass, the first focal plane, all that stuff, and I'll be honest with you, I would say that you are. It's just a matter of I'm not going to make this happen this year because I've got to find 6 ounces I got to take out of my gun somewhere else, and there's tons of places to do it. I'm using a Midwest Industries rail, so right there I can easily pick up the ounces I need to get on this guy. So
10-round mags.
I'm also going to switch to 10-round magazines. Yeah, I'm shooting TAC Ops limited 10-round.
We call it California class.
California class. That's very nice. That's very nice.
If you talk to the guys at Vortex about the weight, they say their retort to that is that's what durability costs.
I got it.
To use the parts that make these things as tough as they are, that's the trade-off. And some of those lighter scopes out there, they have reputations for breaking because they're as light as they can possibly be. So that's a fine line you run.
Absolutely. Well, it's the size, weight. You're always balance is always trade-off.
Firepower versus mobility. If you're not in fancy fans,
that's exactly.
Spends a lot of time on YouTube.
I don't YouTube at all.
No. But I will say, there's nothing about this. You can run this thing with gloves. You can run this thing without. You can run with cold hands, wet hands. It's a beast.
And we do.
Yeah, no question.
Go look at Task Force Dagger video from this year. It was in the mud. We shoot in the winter. This is Minnesota, so we shoot it in the cold. And
speaking of the toughness, though, even if you do manage to destroy this thing, the one thing about all Vortex glass is how unbelievable they are about their replacement policy. It's no joke. We'll show you some footage of some of the stuff that they got returned there. They had some Vipers that were like scorched. It's like they were in some sort of a zombie apocalypse, and yet they replaced them and they sent them a new one if they can't repair it. That's just, they do the right thing voluntarily. That's a huge thing. That's why
VIP warranty is one of the as a consumer myself, we're all consumers, we spend our money on product that we want to win. The VIP warranty, it's the most no hassle, trouble-free thing I've ever encountered in the industry. And when you start talking about brand loyalty, it's something that you develop really quickly, knowing that a product that you're going to take and intentionally abuse. 3-gun is not golf. We are beating this stuff up, and if we run the risk of damaging our optic, it's such a big peace of mind to have a company that's got your back on it too.
Yeah, and I don't doubt for a second they do everything to make sure you're back in the game as quick as possible. Have any of you actually sent a scope back to him?
Not a scope. I sent a mount back.
You did?
I sent it in on a Thursday. I just printed off the VIP warranty form on the website, filled it out, put it in a package, sent it out. I had it back on Wednesday.
That's incredible.
So,
one of the questions we're trying to answer here, and this is a tough one, is you're talking about we got a lot of guys on this channel who have bought the Viper as a result of us, kind of talking about it, and obviously as a result of it just being a great piece of equipment. So, talking about $500 for the Viper versus, let's just say you can get this for $1,200, something like that. So, one at a time, is this worth an extra $700?
If you're shooting only local matches
Yeah.
and your range is 200 yards,
Yep.
I'd say stick with what you're going to get the most money out of your gear and keep running that Viper.
Right on.
If you're going to kind of step your game up, want to start traveling to major matches across the country, you're going to encounter long-range targets. You're going to be encountering those targets on windy days, rainy days, adverse conditions. If you're gonna take on that challenge, it's worth the extra investment.
Okay.
To be able to get that clarity.
That's a solid point of view.
Touching on what Jake had said, absolutely, I agree. If the matches that you're going to be able to afford, if what's going to keep you in the game is doing local stuff, is a 1 to 6 going to be warranted? You don't have to have it to win, but if you are stepping up to the plate, like Jake said, at a major match where tenths count, I mean, it's an arms race.
Yep.
Or if you're out west, club matches out west, they're shooting out to those ranges too.
Yep.
On this side of the prairie, we're usually limited in what kind of ranges our clubs can facilitate.
Yep.
But yeah, once you start getting out to 200 yards, it's a pretty serious advantage. And see, when you look at the scope in person, the difference in glass clarity and the size of the eye box that you have to be in, or that you can get away with, some of the hasty cheek mounts you can use and still have,
that's a good way to put it.
You're splayed up underneath some Suburban somewhere, trying to shoot sideways. And you can still see through it, and that's where the $700 comes. It's clear glass, it's a bigger eye box. Yep. It's it's more power, it's more illumination.
But let's not make any mistake that it's not all magnification. It has more to do with knowing your dope, doing your homework. I mean, there's plenty of guys that would whoop any one of us with a 1x scope or irons.
Yep.
Or 4x, and
they spent the time and energy to figure it all out.
It's all about knowing your holes.
Yeah, I definitely, absolutely, I think what you said is perfect. So if you're just getting into the game, and it's the difference between having enough ammunition to actually practice and having the top of the line scope, this one blows everything else in its price. There's nothing in its price range, for one thing. It lives in a world $500 or $800 below its real competition, and a few $100 over sort of the ones below it. But if it's really a matter of $500 worth of $600 worth of ammunition to spend that summer, go play the game, get the cheaper scope. But it is pretty amazing. We're never going to be able to do the light transmission any justice with the cameras we have. But I think we can show off the eye box. It's shocking when you get up on the thing how. I mean, we're all used to seeing that, sort of black eye around our image. It's kind of not there.
It's very much not there.
Yeah.
I personally have a Gen 1 Razor, and the difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2 is amazing. Is how little that you can see of the actual tube.
Yep.
It's just a reticle floating out there in space.
That's exactly right.
The very beautiful thing about it is it does bundle all the attributes of an aim point or an EOTech when you are on that 1X, or even at the lower powers up to 3, where like Jake was saying, you get into a compromised shooting position and you're looking for that cheek weld, and if it's shaky, it makes up for it big time. It has definitely allowed me to hit targets that normally I would have been hunting and pecking for.
So let's talk just for a second about this optic at 1x, because the one thing I noticed seriously on I've got the Strike Fire and some other red dots and stuff like that, and there's always that sort of weird haze there on a traditional red dot. It's just, even on a really good one, there's just, because if you're looking at it, it's like looking into infinity, so it's going to have some sort of lack of clarity around it. But this thing is, I'm not sure how they pulled this off, but it's literally it's perfectly flat looking. It's almost like it's a what's the name of the reticle I'm thinking of? It's the prismatic. It's almost got that prismatic sense where it's kind of fake clear. It's really cool, and I found it to be just stupid easy to bring it up and see it and find it.
And it gets bright enough. A lot of optics. That's always the complaint with them. That was the challenge that Vortex had in the past, was getting one that's bright enough on a bluebird day that you can see it.
Yep.
And this one is bright enough. On 11, it's almost too bright on some days.
You get too much like halo effect from it because it's so bright. Yeah,
they really impressed me with what they did.
And the Viper's good, but it on a perfectly blue sunny day, it does tend to get washed out.
Sure.
There's no question about it. Anything else anybody wants to add to the conversation?
This guy here can shoot the nipples off a chicken at 1,000 yards.
Roger that.
Right off them.
right off them. Straight on profile.
It doesn't matter.
Really?
Actually, from behind too.
You can take
He's got the nipple seeking
shoot them
bullets.
through the. I didn't. This actually has an X-ray mode, right? You can like.
It's not. It's actually a feature you have to get cheat codes online too.
Interesting. All right.
You got to turn the illumination dial to 11.
A, B, up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, A, B, start.
That's one thing. That's one thing I actually do want to touch on, and I am certain that the Wizards and Innovators at Vortex Optics had this in mind. You'll notice that the illumination dial does turn to 11, and that's very significant because if we can go back to Spinal Tap here, turning it to 11 is what makes the difference. Okay, because you turn it to 11.
What? I'm trying to get the damn thing on there. Which way am I going?
It has an 11?
It has.
It has a freaking 11.
It has an 11 right there.
That's
I
amazing.
seldom use illumination.
Okay, fuck it. It's worth $700 extra.
Yeah. You turn it to 11.
When you turn it to 11, it's like beast mode engage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my god. I had no. Well, see that alone. I mean, we're finding hidden reasons for the extra money. That's fantastic. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming out and spending the time here today. It's really good. We want to do more of this. We're getting more opinions around equipment. So it's and everybody here loves Vortex. So that wasn't really the question. It was more a matter of, is this scope worth the step up? And I think we made a really good case for that for most people. Certainly, if you're doing smaller club matches, maybe not. Or if it's really about money, Vortex has got some great options that are a little less expensive. But if you can't afford it, I think there's no question this is a gear worth having. This is kind of the one you want to have when you can do it, and it's not going to break the bank for you.
One of our ethos is too in P3, what we represent. We may wear the logo for Vortex.
Yep.
We all spent our own money
Yep.
that we earned at our real jobs to buy razors.
No, that's good to know. I think people know that about our channel in general is that we're making these investments up front. Have we gotten some help along the way?
Absolutely.
I think we all have, but we've made a lot of financial contributions to warrant that help. It's not just our shooting; it's the fact that we spend the time helping other people find equipment. That's what P3 is about. That's what Hawkeye's about. And so you're seeing these pretty scopes and these rifles, guys. We paid for these. There's no question about it.
It's one of those pieces of gear when you pick it up for yourself and you look through it, you're gonna say, "Crap! Now I have to buy one."
I believe a few minutes ago you had a 1911 Nighthawk Costa in your hand that you almost went home with.
Yeah, I'm working on a trade with Kate. Kate, why do you do this to me? Why?
All right. Before we sign off, though, we got to thank Arms and Arms. They are, really nice to let us come here and take over a section of their retail space so we can do this and all get together. And check out. Does P3 Multigun have anything that people can go to? Facebook page?
We have a YouTube page.
Okay.
P3 Multigun.
Okay.
I think it's P3 Multi-Gun. I don't know.
That sounds about right.
And then there's a website coming soon.
Yes, in the works right now. We're getting everything finalized. We're going to have comprehensive gear reviews. We're going to tie into some of your stuff too.
Awesome.
Of course, we're going to link your YouTube channel in there. We're going to have a blog that we're going to update as often as possible, and a breakdown of all the gear that we use and why we use it.
Okay.
Because again, we're consumers. We already spent the money on the stuff that didn't work.
Yeah,
so
you might as well find out from these guys.
Yeah.
And these guys are all serious shooters. You'll see that on their YouTube channel. So we'll put links to everything that's live now, and then maybe we can do an amendment to this or bring you guys back on to tell them about what you're up to when those things come out.
Groovy.
We're all here to support each other. So, of course, check out HawkeyeOrdnance.com, Hawkeye Ordnance on Facebook, and all that good stuff. And we're about, a little over halfway through the season. So good luck to all you shooters out there, and God bless.
Yeah, we'll see you on the range.
Cool.